Hype trains are easily the most dangerous aspect in this hobby, and newcomers are the ones who will suffer. Though before we get into this video, I'm gifting this Cerule Edge illustration rare. Now, if I reply to your comment with this Sylveon emoji, then well done, this card is being sent your way. Though I think the hype train kind of discussion is one of the biggest problems currently entering the hobby, and throughout this video I'm actually going to be taking you through a lot of cards that experience these massive hype trains, and then you're going to see how much prices tumbled afterwards. And if you're new to collecting and you are kind of seeing all this stuff, you need to be very mindful not to get sucked in with these insane hype trains, because it seems every week a new kind of huge hype train and huge momentum builds, and then prices explode, and once the hype leaves, a lot of money can be lost. And to tell you the truth, I always get so confused why there's so many bananas that just jump in and they need to pay these ridiculous high price points because they're so scared they're going to miss out. Because I really want to showcase you why you don't need to do that, because it is very unlikely that you will miss out. All right, first one on the list is the Drowzee illustration rare, and I kind of have to cover this card, but I also have to talk about the hype trains that have happened throughout this era. There's, market buyouts, there's market manipulation, there's so many things that happen. But what's really good and kind of something that you need to empower yourself with is that when you see cards spike in price, but when you see that, you need to learn how to take a step back and not get sucked in, because for some reason, I have no idea why it happens, but so many people believe that it's now or never. And this kind of mindset within the hobby that if something rises in price, that means it's just going to stay there. Now, that is true for certain cards. And if it is a massive chase card, and if it's a very, very iconic card, sure, if it has a rise in price, it may stay at those price points. But generally, for a lot of the cards that are rising at the moment, they won't hold those crazy astronomical prices. A good one to look at is the Drowzee illustration rare. Now here I am on the 6-month graph. Now I want to pull this into the year graph so you can see how this card performed, okay? So you can see in October last year, this was around a $12 card. Nowhere near an expensive card. Now you can see right here, it kind of blew up all the way to 63 US. Now yes, there was a lot of market manipulation happening, but then again, a lot of people also didn't see that, and they all just said, hey, it's hype, Drowzee, nah, this is an underrated artwork, nah, this one deserves this price point. Now, I do think it was undervalued at 12 USD, but I most certainly didn't think it was a $63 card. But then you can see what's happened right now, check this out. Right now, this card is selling for 24 US. It was selling for $12. It's kind of doubled in price since October last year, which is a pretty good result, doubling in a year. But you can see when that hype and momentum was there, selling for 60 US, right now selling for 24. But if you want to see something interesting, right, look at the PSA 10 version. Now here I'm on eBay and I'm just on the recently sold. I can see that the PSA 10 Drowzee sold for 10 bids for 360 US. Now, believe it or not, I do remember that earlier this year, this was selling for $800 in PSA 10. No joke, dude. I mean, who is paying that? Do you see what hype trains do? And I actually can't find the sale price on eBay right now because I can't go that far back. Let me just go on PSA's website. All right, here I'm on the Drowzee and I'm on PSA's website. This shows you all the auction results for prices over time. And you can see right here, just check that out. It was selling in December last year for 222 US for a PSA 10. But right there, that's the one I'm talking about. Sold in February 23rd, 2025 for 880 USD. Dude, who on earth decided, hey, that is a good price to pay for this card? You may as well just see the person who paid $800 for this Drowzee, open him up, peel him out and say, you are a banana, because who pays that price for a card when it's that high? Right now, there you go. Most recent sale price in April 2024 hasn't updated, but yeah, selling for 355 US. So there you go. Hype trains are very strong in this hobby. They are vicious, dude. And people will pay those insane prices like 880 US when it kind of gets released, because people just they don't know how to just pace themselves and just see through a hype period. The Seismitoad that's currently happening right now is going through a similar thing. In a few months' time, the same kind of redraw will happen. Moving on to Brute Bonnet. This is very similar to the Drowzee because it was created by the same illustrator. But if I'm gonna just pull this into the year graph, you can see right there, the big price spike and then the redraw, right? Selling before this in December for 6 USD. So not an expensive card at all. Very attainable if you wanted it in your collection. Spiked all the way up to 35 US. And right now it's selling for $7.70. So you can see a massive massive redraw has happened for this card, a massive retrace, and there you go. When the hype was there and the momentum was going, a lot of people were saying, nah, hey, everyone just didn't notice this card. This card was just underlooked for such a long time. And earlier this year, we had an illustration rare buyout. Everyone was buying illustration rares, overpaying wild prices on them. You're gonna see more of those throughout this video, but that's what I'm saying. When these hype trains build, you do need to be careful. Though, you know, while speaking about these cards, there is some awesome news because I've teamed up with Collector and we are both giving away this PSA 10 Kingdra. Enter now on my channel's Discord. Now, today's video is proudly sponsored by the Collector app. Now, if you've never heard of the Collector app, it is a very powerful modern portfolio tracker. Collector lets you digitally track your collection and keeps it all inside the app. But better yet, Collector actually gives you real-time pricing updates so you can easily track how your collection is going against the current market. Now, one of the newest additions is the Set Analytics tab. Now, this is an amazing feature and it basically gives you a total 360 view of any set. You can see a particular set's volatility score along with the current market movers inside a set, and it also gives you a complete card breakdown. Honestly, a big shout out to Collector for supporting the channel and sponsoring the PSA 10 Kingdra giveaway, which is currently happening in my channel's Discord. You can find all the details about the Collector app in the video's description. Now let's get back in the video. Same thing with the Baxcalibur. Now I know a lot of these did have market manipulation, but the problem was no one saw through the smoke and mirrors at that point. Everyone just thought, hey, these cards are gonna continue to climb. Now the Baxcalibur was another one that went through this huge hype train, market manipulation. And here's the thing when market manipulation happens. The intention of the market manipulation is to make the card go up. But then the problem is you get people who genuinely think, hey, nah, these cards are really underrated. And then it kind of just goes way bigger than it's meant to. Baxcalibur was a perfect example, which is also from the same illustrator as the Drowzee and the Brute Bonnet. Pull this into the year graph. Card was selling for 12 USD last year. Then it went up to 52 USD. What an insane price hike for this card. It is a cool artwork, I'm not gonna deny that, but at the same time, if something rises that quickly, and if you're new to the hobby, you kind of need to just back away, dude. Do not jump in and just kind of get fooled by this because as you can see right there, the price retrace can be pretty big. And right now it's selling for 13 US. And you know what's funny about that? Right before that hype train, it was also selling for 13 US. So if you just missed out and now you bought the card, hey, guess what? You can probably buy 3 or 4 of these cards for the same amount that you could buy one earlier this year when the whole hype train and whole illustration rare buyout was happening. Another one that just happened very recently was the whole promo hype. So if you do remember the Hidden Fates promo, the stained glass birds, check this one out. Selling for $125 in June of this year. This one's now selling for $90. So there you go. 35 US has been wiped off in just a very short amount of time. But if we pull this into the 6 months, look at that, selling for 53 US. The hype train made it go all the way up to $127 and now it's selling for 90 bucks. Now here's the thing, when these things happen, a lot of people think, and you know, that mindset of now or never, really do not fall into that thing that it's now or never. If a card rises in price, it is not now or never. There will come another time when the hype kind of fizzles down, or even if it does raise to that price, just wait till you're in a better position or wait till you can see where the market goes before you kind of launch that huge money at it. When we look at Moonbron, right? Moonbron did have a big spike in price pretty quickly last year. And of course, it's kind of maintained that price point. But even though it's gone up so much in price, you can at least be more confident with your purchase by purchasing it today than buying it when it was in a huge hype swing, because Moonbron was kind of an outlier, right? And if you did buy it in rising, yeah, you made a good choice, but then again, you can also get burnt like a lot of people have been burnt already. Another great one is the Houndor illustration rare from Obsidian Flames. This one also went through a massive, massive price hike. I'm gonna pull that into the year graph. Look at that, selling for $4 in January this year. It went up all the way to 33 US, a Houndor illustration rare. Don't even ask me how this happened, okay? And right now, selling for $5. So, okay, it's gone up $1.50 from its January price point. Yeah, cool. But there you go. It went from 33 US all the way to that. And that's what I mean. When the hype trains build, the whole illustration rare buyout, these things can happen very swiftly. And you know, a lot of people don't talk about these price retraces because when you can see it clearly like that, it does make you wonder, hey, maybe I'm not going to over leverage myself when, you know, a new hype or some new momentum builds for a certain card or a particular set. Now, another good example of this is Lillies Clefairy from Battle Partners. So this is from the Japanese set, not to be confused with the Lillies Clefairy from the English set Journey Together. But here we go. This card was selling for $512 on pre-release. Obviously, Lillie has a massive fan base in Japan, so that was always going to be a desired card. But of course, even this Lillie couldn't hold its price point. right now selling for $165. You see what happens when a lot of hype and momentum goes and, pre-release prices and people just jump on that? There you go, that can happen. Another good example is Journey Together as a whole, because Journey Together was so hyped after Prismatic Evolutions, but when you look at the singles, they are tanking, dude. Here we go with Lillies Clefairy, the English version from Journey Together. Pre-release price is selling for $236 US, and then it's just steadily gone down. Just look at that. Right now it's selling for $126. So, earlier this year, if someone told you that these cards would be dipping this much, no one would have believed you, because everyone said, nah, it's Journey Together, man. Don't you know how hyped Journey Together is? But when you look at it now, is Journey Together that much of a GOAT set? Do a lot of people say, hey, Journey Together is that great? Not really. So you can see when the hype train's there versus when people just stop caring about it. And that does happen a lot. Same thing with the Salamence from Journey Together as well. Pre-release price is selling for $133 US and steadily gone down. Right now selling for $72. And patience really would have paid off for Journey Together, because right now all Journey Together singles have literally just tanked, dude. Like, they have really, really gone down. Much more than I was even expecting, to be honest. I didn't expect Journey Together to have such a brutal pullback in the market, but then again, I just think it's so hard to keep up with all the cards when you look at Prismatic Evolutions and how many expensive cards are in that set, and then Destined Rivals after that. In fact, I think Journey Together was sandwiched probably not in the best spot, because you had an amazing set with Prismatic Evolutions and an even better set with Destined Rivals, and then between it all is Journey Together, which is kind of the set where everyone said, hey, these cards really aren't worth chasing. I'm going to spend my money on some of the Evolutions, or maybe I'm going to get some of the cool Team Rocket special illustration rares. Same thing with End Zoroark, a very hyped card on pre-release, selling for $145 US. Right there, 74 items sold at that price. And there you go, right now selling for $52. So right there, you can now buy 3 of these special illustration rares for the same price that you could have bought it on pre-release. If you're going to do a master set of any set, it is much better to wait, 6 months to even a year after the set releases, because you will be able to get the cards for much better prices, as you can see right now. And it's not just these cards as well. Even some very desired cards last year have also gone through a bit of a price shift. Check out the Surging Sparks Pikachu, selling for $492 when it released last year, and it did hold that $450 price range for a few months. Even in February, selling for $456, but right now that Pikachu selling for $262. And a big reason for that was because during that time, that looked like the best card in the set. Everyone was really excited. That looked like one of the coolest special illustration rares. But then we got Prismatic Evolutions with 32 SIRs, and then we got Journey Together, and then we got Destined Rivals, and even Black Bolt White Flare. All these cooler artworks came in the mix, and now this card doesn't even look that triumphant like it did before those new sets released. And that's the thing, the meta can change, right? You can get a cool new artworks that come out, a whole new set changes the paradigm, and everything you look at before doesn't even look cool anymore. Look at the Gold Zacian and Gold Zamazenta cards, right? When Sword and Shield base set released, they were really desired cards. Now, who's even collecting those? Same with the Rainbow Pikachu from Vivid Voltage. That's a really rare card as well. Not really talked about these days. And even when we move on to sealed product, we can see Black Bolt as well, just in base ETB, selling for $220 US in May. Now it's selling for $87 US. So, both Black Bolt and White Flare definitely have gone down in price. Same thing with White Flare, selling for $200 US 3 months ago. Right now, this one's selling for $78 US, so a big price drop for White Flare. So, there you go. You can see that the market is cooling off right now. You're going to hear every piece of rubbish that people can find to justify something. You know what? 6 months down the line, they rarely hold that price point. So that's why just be vigilant when you're kind of purchasing these cards to not overspend. But seeing these cards, we can see the whole Scarlet and Violet era has had a lot of hype. And one of the biggest reasons these hype trains exist is because the artworks throughout this era have been incredible. Though it makes you wonder why this era has had such big hype trains, and honestly it all comes down to the quality of the era. And if you are interested in a full tier list throughout the whole Scarlet and Violet era, I do rank them in this video here. Within this video, I rank each Scarlet and Violet set entirely on a tier list. This video is a full review of the entire era. If you love the Pokemon TCG, this video is your obvious next choice. Feel free to click on the video on screen, and I'll see you on the next video.